Most people think being unforgettable means being loud, impressive, or constantly available. It doesn't. Those people are easy to forget. What actually lingers in the mind is contrast, restraint, presence that does not need to announce itself. People. Remember the ones who do not over-explain, do not chase, and do not reveal everything too quickly. Why? Because the mind keeps returning to what it could not fully read. That is the strange truth. The more controlled your presence is, the more it tends to stay alive in other people's minds. Most people never realize this. They spend their energy trying to be seen, while the ones who are remembered are often the ones who held back just enough to create weight. And that is where Stoic principles become powerful. They make your presence linger long after the moment ends. But to understand why that happens, you first have to see what calm really does to the human mind. Calm creates curiosity because most people are used to chaos. They expect noise, they expect neediness, they expect performance. So when someone stays composed under pressure, it unsettles them in a powerful way. Noise fades fast. Silence stays in the mind. Performance is forgettable. Authenticity creates weight. Approval disappears. Self-respect remains. That is why Stoic restraint is not weakness. It is controlled force. A calm person becomes harder to predict, and anything harder to predict becomes harder to forget. The less you try to impress, the more your presence begins to matter, because people are not drawn to desperation. They are drawn to what feels centered, rare, and difficult to shake. And once that is clear, the first principle becomes obvious. Make yourself less available, not less valuable. Because availability is often what kills mystery before it has time to grow. The first Stoic principle is simple. Protect your time, your energy, and your attention, because endless availability lowers value. It removes contrast. It gives emotional access without effort. And when people can always reach you, they stop feeling your presence as something significant. That is the difference between desperation and standards. Desperation makes you easy to access. Standards make you worth approaching. Reaction says, yes, too quickly. Control knows that not every request deserves immediate access. When you become more selective, people begin to think about you differently. Not because you are playing games, but because your presence now has weight. Most people never realize that overexposure kills intrigue. And once your availability is no longer automatic, the next thing that matters is your words. Because what you say and what you leave unsaid can make you even harder to forget. The second principle is verbal restraint. Say less, but mean more. People think about the person who speaks with precision because every word feels intentional. Nothing wasted, nothing forced. That is the power of understatement. Noise tries to fill every silence so it can be noticed. Silence lets meaning build. Performance talks to be seen. Authenticity speaks only when it matters. The Stoic man does not use words to impress people. He uses them to reveal character. And psychologically this matters because the mind keeps returning to what it could not fully decode. It replays what felt measured, composed, and unfinished. So if you keep saying everything, explaining everything, and giving away everything, you leave nothing for the mind to wonder about. And when your words become scarce, your boundaries must become clear, because what you refuse to give away with words must also be protected with action. The Stoic man knows when to leave. He leaves conversations before they turn empty. He leaves situations before they start costing him his peace. He leaves relationships before overgiving becomes self-erasure. That is not arrogance. That is self-respect. Because the difference between peace and chaos is often just timing. Stay too long, explain too much, and give too much, and you become familiar, then forgettable. People do not think deeply about what they can always access. They think about what leaves a mark. Your presence matters more when it is not endlessly available. Your absence matters more when your energy was never cheap. The hidden cost of ignoring this is becoming emotionally overexposed, drained, and easy to replace. A man with standards knows when to stay. A man with wisdom knows when to go. And once that is clear, your standards begin doing the talking for you. People remember the one who does not bend just to fit in. Standards create contrast, and contrast creates memory. When everyone else is flexible, the person with self-command stands out. Weak boundaries fade into the background. Strong standards leave an impression. Fitting in makes you blend. Standing apart makes you stay visible. That is why a principled life naturally creates respect. It is consistent, disciplined, rare, and rarity is memorable. The Stoic man does not ask, "How can I be liked?" He asks, "How can I remain true?" That shift changes everything. Because when your standards are clear, your character starts speaking before you do. Most people never realize it, but strong standards make you linger in the mind long after the conversation ends. And once that happens, you are no longer chasing attention. You are carrying presence. And that presence becomes your identity when you live it consistently. This is what happens when Stoic principles become your identity. You stop forcing attention and start creating impact naturally. Weak people need to be seen constantly. Strong people leave a lasting impression because they are grounded, selective, and hard to forget. And that changes the way people experience you. You become calmer, more self-possessed, more respected, and more memorable. Not because you chase, but because your energy has weight, your standards have structure, your silence has meaning. That is the kind of presence that stays in the mind, not loud, not needy, not easy to replace. If this spoke to you, reflect on the principle you need most, comment with the one that hit hardest, and continue into another video on Stoicism, confidence, or self-mastery.